Hello, my name is Blessing Masie. I'll be looking at the house project, which is the Rufford House projects that have been proposed, such as the Adventure Center and the wedding venue. I'll be looking at a feasibility study of the two proposals. At first, I'll give you an introduction and I'll do a feasibility analysis. I'll look at the funding analysis, the human resourcing, the logistics, the competitive reaction, and also I'll look at the conclusions and the recommendations. This presentation is a feasibility study, as I've mentioned before, to evaluate the suitability of the two proposals, which is the Adventure Center and the wedding venue at Rufford House. Okay. The feasibility study will be conducted by applying the model suggested by Tribe, which suggests that the feasibility review of projects should review 4 strategic areas of the business, which is mainly funding, logistics and timing, human resourcing, and competitive reaction. The review will be conducted from the perspective of the National Farmers Union as a stakeholder to the project, with a vested interest in the project and how it intends to make use of the agricultural land which the proposals are going to gain. And also, it's important. It's an important aspect of implementing tourism projects because they help organizations to minimize risks in the investment. The presentation is going to be conducted to demonstrate the suitability in the process of sourcing the finance, so all the financial resources mentioned in the proposals, the logistical implications of implementing the project in terms of the phases and the time period they're going to take. And this will be done using the funding, resourcing, and logistic reaction, which is a model adapted from Tribe, as mentioned before. The funding analysis asks the question whether the organization is able to obtain funding for a particular strategy. And this is an important question because when we look at the two proposals, starting with the wedding venue, it's estimated to cost 275,000 to be delivered and operational, with 250,000 capital already in place. The proposal is over 2 phases, so over a 2-year period, with the different aspects of the business being implemented over that period. Although there's a deficit of £25,000 in the capital required from what is available, this feasibility study is confident that there's enough capital to implement the project over the proposed 2 years. The proposed business will make at least 720,000. To make 72,000 in the first year, with probably more earnings from the hotel, accommodations, tours and transfers. But the information is rather vague and no real tangible information can be derived from the costings that have been proposed for the project. The total capital available for the project at the end of the year, assuming that all earnings are invested back into the business, is 322,000, which exceeds the total capital investment required of 275,000. The funding requirement will be required over the 2-year implementation period, which will mean that not all of the 275,000 will be required at the beginning of the business. The only reservation this review has on the proposal is that the information provided does not aid the calculation of the actual business potential, as there's gaps in the information. If we look at the funding analysis for the Adventure Center, it appears that there's 210,000 capital currently available for the project to be delivered, despite the capital required being higher at 245,000. The information given in the trading activity shows that over the 2-year period, the business could potentially earn 390,000 in sales from the shop, track, and renting of buildings. The information shows earnings in the first year, which would be 130,000 if combined with the capital available, which would mean the business has access to a possible 340,000, which exceeds the capital required to implement the project. Another factor to remember in the capital requirement is that the project will be implemented in 2 phases, so over the 2-year period. So the capital required is most likely not all going to be used, which further eases the pressure on the investors to have 245,000 in place from the very beginning. It is important, however, to remember that while the projections look positive, the business will most likely not produce earnings of 2,500 from the beginning, but the 2,500 will on average over 52 weeks the investment, so the investors need to be prepared to invest more at the beginning or no earnings until the business is established and drawing in customers. What we'd also look at in terms of the feasibility report is human resourcing. It's an important part of the feasibility strategy to look at whether the organization has enough workforce and sufficient skills to execute the proposed strategy. An audit of whether the skills necessary for the proposed developments is important to see whether the skills are available or accessible. And also we need to look at whether the skills are available in the functional areas such as management, purchasing, marketing. And also, does the workforce have knowledge of the particular market of the development? So does the workforce have enough experience of working in wedding venues or adventure center? And also, what is the skills mix and skills dynamics of the workforce? These are quite important questions. And if we look on the proposals for the adventure center, in terms of human resourcing in phase 1, they will have 4 full-time members of staff for tuition and maintenance, and an extra part-time staff if turnover exceeds the target. In phase 2, 2 extra full-time members of staff and extra part-time staff will be employed if they exceed the target. For the wedding venue, the proposal in terms of the resourcing phase 1, 2 full-time members of staff in terms of tuition and maintenance will be employed, and an extra part-time staff from the University of Derby on placement will be used, which will cut on costs. What we need to look at as well in terms of the feasibility study is logistics and timing. So time frames are quite important for each of the proposals, how long it will take to get the business going and realize returns on the capital. So the analysis of the logistics will help to determine the relationship between the required resources, timing of implementation, and profitability. The home project, the logistical implications are less odious than the adventure center, as there's less land adaptation and the proposal is more sensitive to the current structures on the farm. The information and projections, the wedding venue has a high likelihood of being delivered on time and on budget in terms of the estimated capital. Well, if we look at the competitive reaction as part of the feasibility study, in the surrounding areas of the Peak District, there's so many wedding venues and it's quite a competitive market. So the proposed project has to set itself apart from the other venues. They need to differentiate themselves in terms of product and price in order to be successful. And once the wedding venue is up and running, there will be a reaction from the other competitors, and which will mean the market will be very competitive. Unlike the adventure center, is different, it's unique, and in terms of the market around the surrounding areas of the Peak District, it's offering a variety of different products, mountain biking, bike parks and trail centers, and it's quite competitive overall in terms of the wider market, not just the Peak District and surrounding areas market. In conclusion, the investors must request more trading activity information in order to make informed judgments in terms of the proposal. The investors must review all quotations on work required on the proposal as due diligence for the proposed capital requirements. Both proposals must submit skills profiles for their staff in order to ascertain the missing skills required for both proposals, as this will encourage more of the skills audit and encourage the investors to invest in the proposed proposals.